All right, welcome to This Explainer. I am super excited you're here today because we're looking at something just truly fascinating, nature's original telecommunications network. We rely so heavily on our screens and digital networks today, but long before any of that tech existed, there was an incredibly sophisticated system already in place. Okay, let's dive into this.
Picture this for a second. Imagine living in a world completely without mobile phones, without emails, without the internet. No instant messaging, no read receipts. If you needed to send an incredibly important, time-sensitive message to someone hundreds of kilometers away, how would you possibly pull that off? Human runners or horses could only go so fast, and they faced countless obstacles along the way. Establishing reliable, long-distance communication before modern technology was an absolutely monumental challenge.
Nowadays, our solution is modern tech, satellites and smartphones beaming data across the entire globe in a matter of milliseconds. But the ancient tech, well, it wasn't a machine at all. For literally thousands of years, the most reliable messenger for critical trade and high-stakes warfare wasn't a person, but a specially bred and highly trained bird, the carrier pigeon. These homing pigeons were effectively the data packets of the ancient world.
Part 1. The ultimate biological GPS.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the concept of magnetoreception. The Earth basically acts like a giant magnet, right? It's complete with these invisible magnetic field lines that stretch all the way from the North Pole down to the South Pole. Pigeons actually possess this incredible natural ability to detect these magnetic fields. Think of it as having a built-in biological compass hardwired right into their brains. This gave them the ability to figure out their exact direction, even if they were dropped in a location they had never ever seen before.
But they didn't just rely on one single system. They had backups on top of backups. This is a highly sophisticated, multi-layered biological setup. First, they used that magnetic compass we just talked about. Second, they used the sun as a compass, guided by an incredibly accurate internal biological clock that tells them exactly where the sun should be at any given time of day. Then, as they get closer to home, they switch to visual landmarks: rivers, mountains, roads, coastlines, and buildings. Fourth, they use their excellent sense of smell to pick up familiar scents carried on the wind. And finally, memory. They literally remember the successful routes they've flown before. It's exactly like a modern mobile network, smoothly handing off your signal from a cell tower to your home Wi-Fi as you pull into your driveway. All these natural systems just work together flawlessly.
And they didn't just navigate well. They were absolute athletes. 100. A well-trained carrier pigeon can reach top speeds of 60 to 100 kilometers per hour. Just think about that speed for a moment. That is highway speed for a car. And these birds are doing it up in the air, traveling several hundred kilometers in a single, non-stop journey. Their physical hardware is just as impressive as their navigational software.
Part 2. How delivery actually worked. So the crucial point is what we call the one-way rule. A lot of people kind of think you could just hand a pigeon a note, whisper an address into its ear, and send it off anywhere. Absolutely not true. A carrier pigeon can only fly back to its own permanent loft home. That means ancient communication networks required some meticulous logistical planning. You had to physically transport trained pigeons to different locations ahead of time, holding them there until you actually needed to send a message back to their specific home base.
Let's walk through the exact operational mechanics of this. Step 1. The pigeon is raised in a specific loft, establishing that spot as their permanent home. Step 2. Trainers gradually release them from increasing distances to teach them to always return to that exact location. When the time comes to communicate, Step 3 happens. Someone writes a message on a tiny, super thin piece of paper, rolls it up tightly, and secures it inside a small, waterproof tube attached directly to the pigeon's leg. Finally, Step 4, the bird is released. Pure instinct takes over and it flies straight home, where the recipient is waiting to pop off the tube and read that crucial message.
Part 3. Feathered Heroes of War.
Now let's look at their ultimate stress test, the World Wars. The stakes here were absolute life and death, but early human technology? It was completely failing. Telephone lines were being shredded by enemy fire, and early radio communications were just miserably unreliable. But on the flip side, reliable nature. Despite the utter chaos, pigeons were successfully flying through severe storms, dodging predators, and navigating incredibly difficult, dangerous terrain. When our modern human technology completely broke down, we had to rely on these birds.
And what exactly were they carrying in those tiny waterproof tubes on their legs? The payloads were critical. We're talking high-level military orders, sensitive intelligence reports about enemy movements, and desperate emergency messages from troops completely pinned down on the battlefield. They were carrying the kind of information where a delay of even a few hours could literally cost thousands of lives.
Thousands of soldiers' lives were saved because of their incredible reliability, and some pigeons were even awarded medals for their bravery. And this brilliantly illustrates just how immense their value really was. These weren't just tools. They were recognized as literal feathered heroes. They showed unbelievable courage and determination right in the middle of human crises, getting the message home when absolutely no one else could.
Part 4. A lasting legacy. Let's move to and see how this builds into how we remember these amazing creatures today.
Sure, modern technology has officially replaced the carrier pigeon for communication, but their legacy, it's profound. Long before we had thousands of satellites orbiting the Earth, this simple, perfectly designed bird connected people across vast distances. They operated as a natural telecommunications network with incredible speed, pinpoint accuracy, and an astonishing determination that, quite frankly, we still marvel at today. They are just a shining example of animal intelligence and cooperative survival with humans.
Which leaves us with a final question for you. Can our modern technology ever truly match the astonishing determination of nature? Sure, our smartphones are faster, and our satellites cover the globe. But there is a certain elegant, incredibly reliable simplicity to the carrier pigeon. A biological system that needed zero batteries, no software updates, and no cell towers, yet still managed to save lives and build empires. It really makes you reflect on our heavy reliance on screens today, doesn't it? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you never look at a pigeon the same way again.